So this has been a challenging year for a lot of folks, for a lot of institutions, but the community has really not slowed down. We've accomplished a lot this year. So I want to touch on that briefly, celebrate it, and also look ahead to what we've been planning and thinking about for 2026. So I'll start off touching briefly on Samvera technology. We will have updates from the platform uh, community leaders after this talk, and they'll go into a lot more detail. But just to talk sort of generally about the platforms, we've been tracking for the last 5 years. This is sort of the GitHub activity that we report out every year with our individual contributors and our contributing institutions. And this year, I just wanted to call out and especially thank our 5 most active committer organizations, Nachi Indiana University, Northwestern University, the Science History Institute, and Princeton University for contributing so much activity this year. And as we look at the last 5 years, we can see that last year in 2024, we were doing such a big push with Valkyrization work. It really, really bumped our numbers up. And I knew that it was going to be hard to ever sort of replicate that number. But especially in individual contributors, we've stayed pretty high. And the active GitHub repositories, we can talk about this. I was thinking for partners who are on the next partner call, but I think that just reflects a focus, a change in our focus this year. And so there are just fewer repositories that we're working in. Just very briefly wanted to call attention to how many platform releases we had this year. There's so much work that goes into these releases. And I know Haiku has a current release candidate they've been working really hard on and testing for a while that will come out anytime now. So congratulations to everybody who's contributed to these. We also had some noteworthy component releases for RAMP and serverless IIIF and bulk racks, especially. A lot of work happening in the bulk racks community. We had a lot of community development efforts this year. We had a big community sprint in May with a focus on some high priority platform issues. So thank you to everybody who participated in that. We're also going to have another community sprint the first week in December. So be on the lookout for information about that. Anyone can join. That's going to be a sprint for code work, but also a sprint for documentation. Anyone in any role, I think, will have a way to participate in this sprint. The product owners are looking at some accessibility issues, some really good first issues, some technical analyses that we need done. So lots of different opportunities for different levels of experience and types of interest. And the documentation sprints this year were incredible. This is the first time we did this. We had over a dozen folks participating in the week-long sprint. We had 6 one-day doc days of summer that were really successful, and those folks will continue their work that first week in December. And then, of course, the maintenance working group is always working 2 weeks of every month on Hyrax and Haiku maintenance and coordination. They've done a lot of work on accessibility and testing, and you will hear a lot of updates from folks today and tomorrow and Thursday about all the work happening there. So I wanted just to remind folks who sort of, especially in this talk, I throw out kind of a lot of roles in the community. And just as a reminder, or if this is your first time sort of hearing about these roles, this is sort of the structure by which Samvera Community work gets done. We have a board of directors and myself as the community manager kind of working at sort of a top level, but our community leaders and our partners and the working and interest groups really are the pillars of the community and the way that that anything happens and that anything gets coordinated really starts with those folks. And so I want to focus first and have a big thank you to our community leaders, our product owners and technical leads, and other community leadership roles that we have right now for our platforms. The community sprints, the community maintenance efforts, none of this could happen without these leaders who steward our technology. They also work together in the roadmap alignment group to make sure that we're always planning and communicating across our platforms and across technologies. It's a lot of work for a small number of people, and I'm really, really grateful to them. So moving over to talk about the broader community. When I gave this talk last year, I talked about our community focus for 2025 being documentation, onboarding, and mentorship. We wanted to really tackle areas where we knew that documentation was out of date or missing. We wanted to focus on training and supports and clarifying our roadmaps. And so I was looking at sort of how did we do? How did we do on that focus? And I think we had some huge success this year. The documentation interest group and the documentation sprints were incredible. We got so much work done. Um, we're reworking the Hyrax and Haiku documentation spaces in the Samvera Community Wiki. That's for all of the non-developer documentation. And while there's still a lot of work to be done there, the fact that we are keeping track of it as part of the documentation interest group, the amount that has been done there in a year and the number of people who've participated is amazing. We also had 5 developers participate in our in-person Hyrex and Haiku developer training camp, and all of the updated developer training and the updated documentation that came from that, we're going to push forward and take advantage of next year as well. So I wanted to especially thank our trainer, Mark Bussey from DCE. Mark has done an incredible amount of work this year, and it has had a big impact on our documentation and on pushing us forward with having that training material. We have a cross-platform roadmap now that the roadmap alignment group is working from and reviewing regularly and keeping updated, so we can make sure that all of our opportunities for sharing work across platforms is being tracked and taken advantage of. The Sustaining Haiku Grant community leadership roles are making a big impact, and that community is really invested in figuring out how to sustain these new roles. And we had some refinement in our Slack and a new welcome channel. I think it's really helped with onboarding new folks. And our working in interest groups, just want to call out, especially interest groups, they continue to be where we get the most information sharing and feedback, new initiatives. It's where we uncover obstacles and where we work to set priorities. Anyone can participate in interest groups. You can come and go. You don't have to come every month if you can't always attend. But I would encourage everyone in the community, and whatever your area of interest, to take part in these groups. A couple other sort of community, high-level community things I wanted to call out from this year. So this screenshot is from the International Repositories Directory. This is managed by the Confederation of Open Access Repositories, or CORE, the COAR CORE. It aims to be an authoritative source of information about repositories and a record of the current repository landscape. This is the kind of thing we have wanted sort of for as long as I've been around in repository world. This is something we've wanted to have, sort of an authoritative list of all known repositories. Paul Walk, who is part of our community and on the Samvera board, has played a huge role in making this happen. And we, as the Samvera community, manage our entries, and it is our source of truth for active repositories. And right now I have 85 known active repositories on platforms in this directory. And if yours isn't listed or if it needs an update, just let me know, and I would be happy to add it or to make any changes. I also wanted to call out InfraFinder, which is a project of Invest in Open Infrastructure. It's a resource for navigating infrastructure services and open research and scholarship tools. Haiku is included in InfraFinder, and Avalon and Hyrax are going to be included in their next update. So I think this is a great tool, and it's not just for repositories. I encourage anyone to take a look for any sort of open infrastructure tools. It makes it really easy to compare them and learn all about them. My favorite part of this talk every year is sharing our Julie Allenson Award winner. This recognizes an individual who made an outstanding contribution to the Samvera community in honor of the late Julie Allenson. And our winner for this year was Larita Robinson from Notch 8. Um, I couldn't even take enough time to read you all of the nice things people had to say about Larita. Um, a few things I really liked. Larita is one of the community members who's willing to work on the least fun, least glamorous parts of the code. She continually tries to ensure the pieces she touches work for everyone and not just solve the current problem. Her efforts in the community are often quiet, but can be critical to ensuring that the platform Samvera supports work properly day in and day out. So thank you so much, Lorena, for everything that you do and continue to do and your contributions to the community over the last year. You're so appreciated. All right, I'm going to touch briefly on governance and finances. First to mention our Samvera partners. So our institution partners and our service provider partners have committed to the sustainability of the community and our shared community infrastructure by paying dues every year so that we have a budget, and also by participating in a monthly partner call. The board of directors is elected from partner institutions. Partners are really a critical part of the community. Our newest 2025 partner is Amigos Library Services. We're really, really thrilled to add them. And we currently have 28 partners in the Samvera community. And we have two institutions who are donors. They can't commit to partnership, but they make one-time or annual donations. Anyone and any institution can make one-time or annual donations in any amount to support our shared infrastructure and help sustain the community. And we'll be talking about that a lot more next year, and I'll share more about that shortly. Our board of directors. We have a wonderful board. I talk to other community managers, and I'm always talking up the structure that we use for our board because our board's really, really fantastic. We have 9 folks on the Samvera board. They work really hard and have to make a lot of decisions and do a lot of planning and priority setting. And I'm really, really grateful for all of their hard work. And we have some board departures for the end of this year. We have folks who are moving on to exciting new positions. We have folks who are moving on to sort of their next big contribution. But Karen, Alicia, Robin, Emily, and David have been phenomenal to work with. I will miss them. I know that other board members will miss them, and we're so grateful for their board service. So we usually have we sort of have a regular election cycle of 3 seats. This year we have a regular 3 seats, and we also have 3 off-cycle seats of 1 or 2 years to fill. So kind of a lot of board turnover this year. But we've got 4 fabulous candidates already. Um, we will be voting. I'll be sending out a ballot to partners to vote next week. And we will still be looking to fill a couple of the off-cycle seats. But I'm really excited. We're going to have a wonderful mix of folks on our board for next year. So usually I have a projected budget for the year that I share here, but ours is still in process with our fiscal sponsor, Oasis. I just wanted to note that because we lost some partners this year, institutions who are either moving away from the platform or their budget was such that they're just not able to participate as partners anymore. Um, we know we will lose a few others next year. We had a $22,000 less revenue than expected this year, and we're going to lose an additional $10,000. So we know we're going to need to use some of our reserve funds again, but exactly how much that's going to be isn't clear yet. But I'll have a better sense probably early November. We did have additional revenue from the Sustaining Haiku grant that went towards our developer training camp and some pledges in support of Haiku 7 development. And we had some interest income this year. So we're looking towards 2026 with some ideas about doing the very most that we can with what we have, but also increasing our funding so we can maximize the value that community provides. Being able to have sort of shared work and shared staffing at the community level, we think it's super valuable to everyone who's adopting Samvera software. And so we've got some ideas about how we want to do that next year. So looking ahead, the community focus for 2026 uh, really focused on sort of the next phase of financial sustainability, increasing our shared staffing so we can tackle some technical coordination and really maximize the impact that we can have on institutions, especially when staffing is lower in a lot of places. And also finding new community touch points, some new virtual events, some new ways to collaborate and work together, especially when travel funding is really scarce for some institutions. So talking about the next phase of financial sustainability, we're going to have a partnership program review working group. The partnership has been in place, sort of the structure of it has been in place for about 5 years. So it's time to bring some folks together, take a look at the structure right now, see what's working, and maybe make any recommendations about changes to the board to help that work better. We're also going to focus really hard on a pay what you can donation program. There are folks who are not yet partner institutions, but who know that they're super invested in the Samvera community, and we want to make it as easy as possible for every institution that has Samvera platform as a valuable part of your infrastructure to make and to just sort of chip in whatever you can, especially because we have exciting sort of shared staffing plans, and this is the only way we're going to be able to make those things sustainable. We're also exploring lower cost fiscal sponsorship organizations, and this is with suggestions from and in partnership with our current fiscal sponsor, Oasis Open. They feel like we could pay less overhead with a different fiscal sponsor. So we're really, really grateful to them for being so supportive and transparent and helping us look at how we can make the most out of every dollar that we have. And so you can expect to hear some more about that change. We won't change anything for most like day-to-day activities in the community, but it will mostly mean it's sort of change to our bylaws and change to our fiscal home. So looking at these roles again, for a very long time, the community has wanted to have a technical coordinator in addition to a community manager to have sort of some technical support at that higher level. And so I need to work at an 80% time for next year. And that is giving us a huge opportunity to contract some hours for technical coordination. I think the timing for this is really excellent. It's a great opportunity and it'll be beneficial to everyone using any Samvera technology. This is going to be a role that combines the Hyrax and Haiku tech lead roles for next year, really, really focused on sort of cross-platform coordination and we're contracting with Rob Kaufman, who's currently the Haiku Tech Lead, to take on this role. We've put a lot of thought, the Samvera board and in consultation with Rob, has put a lot of thought into what will be successful for this. This is a 20-hour a month role, so we've got a lot of structure in place. And we really think that this is the time for this role, and the work we'll be doing on the sustainability side, we're hoping will support it so that this role can continue after 2026 in some form. And then finally, community touch points. I want to find the right in-person opportunities for 2026. That might be conference meetups or regional meetings. We want to do a lot more virtual events and sort of identify other opportunities for us to work together. And I really need your help for this. We have a 2026 events poll. It's very short, it's very easy, trying to get a sense of what conferences folks are going to be attending, so we can think about co-locating, so any sort of community meetups or regional meetings, things like that. So this will really help us inform what we do for next year. So I encourage everyone, no matter what your role is, this is for everyone in the community, this poll. So that's it from me. Thank you so much.